Hello and welcome to another edition of UFO Video Addicts. Let me give you a preview of what I got coming up in this video. The first is a video out of Brooklyn, New York. Also have this long 2-hour interview of this Project Unity interview, Frank Milburn. This guy was one of the insiders in the whole UFO cover-up, through the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So he definitely has a lot to say. This is some guy who thinks that he found, UFO sightings daily. I think this is Scott Waring. New base found in Area 51. This is from 2019. This is an interview done of Tom DeLonge, where he just, basically goes into how the government has been covering up UFOs. This is an interesting video of these dragon houses that were found in Greece, and there isn't any history of these being made. So this is another one of these objects that were built before humans started keeping history. And according to this the guy in this video, he claims that these rocks were brought from a quarry that was far away down here in the valley someplace. So, how and why would they bring these rocks all the way up here? This is an article about the Rendlesham Forest incident. I'm sure many people have heard about it. It's always talked about in a lot of the UFO shows. But according to this article here, a couple of the airmen may have actually been abducted. And this here, actually, I didn't really get a chance to look at it. A lot of times, I'm always like looking for, so much information. I don't always get a chance to look through all of this stuff. But just based on this is a transcript of an interview that was held with June Crane. And apparently she worked within the government and was involved in the cover-up because, she gives someone an interview here. She approached me afterwards and I told her that I was right, and told me that I was right, that our government does know much more than it ever says public about UFOs. I asked her how she knew this. She said, because I worked there. I asked her for details and she says, I can't tell you. They'll come and arrest me. I asked her to remember me and if she ever changed her mind, and eventually she did after 4 years. So that's what this is about. Let's see. This is an article about ancient humans bred with completely unknown species. Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of gaps in the human evolution theory. Like I've said before in some of my other videos, everything that we've been told or taught about the Earth's history, about our history, is basically all been wrong. It was, all of this stuff was established way before people, were working with a large enough data base or, of information. So they're definitely finding out new things, using computers and things like that. And yeah, I've always never believed this whole evolution thing. But anyways, on the last article here is this, mark your calendars. Congress has given the U.S. intelligence agencies until June 25th to get a report together on unidentified aerial phenomenon. So I think this guy thinks that, there's definitely something is happening that's getting these people to finally open up about all of this. But I'll get into reading some of this. So anyways, let me get to the beginning here. This is, I saw 8 UFOs last night. This is just on the 21st of March. Check this out. Yo, this is crazy.
This is crazy.
Well, this is a 12-minute video. Let's see. Again, these are separate, and and if these were drones, you'd be able to hear them. I mean, you can hear the guy talking, so I hardly doubt these are drones. But yeah, I don't want to play this guy's entire video. Just a little clip. I'll leave a link in the description so you can go to his channel and check it out. This video here that gets 2 hours long, and this is another video that I really haven't had a chance to completely listen to. So let me just play what he has to say here.
Over the years, it took a little while, but I was going to higher and higher levels, and basically was getting a very consistent response from everybody. I would usually try to get them pregnant, meaning I would ask for something, not a big thing, but to get them actively involved. Nobody ever shut me down, and people just got passed on and on. One of the stories that I do tell in the book is that I was meeting with a retired lieutenant general who had been the head of one of those three-letter agencies that would have to be involved. If you listen to, how these things happen, we have these response teams waiting out to pounce on UFOs any place in the world and all of that. They would have been integrally involved. The information would have gone through that agency. And he goes, A, we don't do that. There's no requirement. But more importantly, B, I'll tell you about the ones I saw. So here you had an individual who was the head of one of those agencies who had a personal experience, a sighting of things that happened years prior, but he knew aerodynamically it wasn't possible and far beyond the technological capabilities at that time.
One thing I want to point out that he said that, that we have people stationed all over the world to pounce on any UFO sightings. I've said this before in some of my other videos, or in one of my other videos, that the reason why I think the U.S. government has military bases all over the planet, and our supposed enemies, right? China, Russia, like they don't really care. I don't think those military bases are necessarily there to keep an eye on our quote unquote enemies, but I think it's so that our military can quickly get to any of these UFO crash sites. I've done another video where I think the guy's name was John Hall, where he actually interviewed some guy who was one of the members of these teams that would, anytime there was a UFO crash, they would be there. So anyways, this is a 2-hour video. If you have the time, definitely take a listen. Let's see. This is Scott Waring. Does a lot of UFO videos, and he finds a lot of interesting things. But apparently, this is a base that's next to Area 51. Check this out.
Yeah, if we look at the base, if we look at this base that I'm looking at now on the other, you can see that the quality is different. You see the quality is very different. One is more focused than the other. This one's so much better than Google Earth. So I'm going to get rid of this and we'll focus on this one. Look at this facility. It's really quite incredible. It's near a farm for some reason. I'm sure the farm is on their private government land, but still, look at this. They buried these objects, these rooms or something underneath here. They built them and buried them, so there was also a close to surface, like level 1 of the base.
Now, yeah, I don't know, whether he's correct on all these assumptions he's making. And again, I don't want to play his entire video, but this seems to be very interesting. I'll leave a link in the description so you can check it out. Let me go to this next video here. Yeah, this is a video, an interview with Tom DeLonge. I think he's, he's definitely a newcomer to this whole UFO phenomenon thing, but I think he's definitely been a major factor in bringing this to the or more to the public. I think because of his position as a musician. But anyways, take a listen to what he has to say here.
industry off the ground.
So that had nothing to do with World War II. You think it had to do with aliens?
Oh, I absolutely think it. Well, both, because what I believe crashed at Roswell was, well, I believe it was German from Argentina, but it had hallmarks and technology based on alien technology. So we put out a story saying it's alien, and then we put out a story saying it's a weather balloon. But the real thing it was, we didn't want anyone to guess, and that's why we put those two things out there. And that's kind of how they do it. I think they did that with the moon. It's like, we went to the moon, and then they put out this meme kind of thing, like we didn't go to the moon, but they didn't want people really going, well, what's on the moon?
Plausible deniability is something the government has always done, and it's the way they operate, especially when they want to put out very serious information. With this topic, what they've done is they would leak things over the past 60 years and create ridicule for the people that may believe it. That way, everyone kind of hears the stuff. You hear about the Roswell crash, but you're not really scared about it because the chances are it might not be real, but maybe it could be real.
Like Area 51, flying saucers out at S4.
Yeah, exactly. It's all that stuff they want you to know. The reason we talk about it is because they chose for us to hear about it. And the reason we kind of laugh it off is because they, by design, that's how they do it. While we're sitting there, he leans across the table, and this is the very first words that were said to me. It was the Cold War. And every single day we lived under the threat of nuclear war. Every single day we believed and really thought in the deepest part of our souls that nuclear war could happen at any given moment.
And another thing I want to point out, like all of this testing, the nuclear testing that that did go on. Again, I don't think it was necessarily for nuclear testing. I think it was we were blowing up all these nuclear bombs in specific areas around the Pacific, along with Russia, because we were trying to knock these UFOs out of the air. So anyways, yeah, check this out. Very interesting. Let me go to this video here. Yeah, these are about these dragon houses that were found way up on this hill in Greece. So check this out here. Let me go back a little about here.
The mysterious megalithic structures the Greeks called dracospita, or dragon houses. Likely dating to the pre-classical period of ancient Greece, the dragon houses of Euboea are among the mysteries of the past, which have yet to be fully understood. These dragon houses are situated at very high altitudes, making the weight and size of the megaliths even more shocking. While little is understood of these dragon houses, the number of the structures is far more than expected. Around 23 of these houses exist on the island of Milburn.
Yeah, can you imagine going back to the time when this thing was being built? What did these people look like? And where did they come from? Because again, who taught them how to build this? I mean, if they're building this doesn't look like something they learned to do. It again, because there's nothing in the archaeological records that shows a progression to this, right? You don't see any failed experiments. It's just all of these megaliths were just built. So how did they know how to build it? How did they know how to cut the rock? Again, and where's the evidence that they used any type of ground transportation to move these giant stones? I mean, again, if the evidence isn't there that they moved these stones, using like wheels or cart, we would have to assume that they must have had some type of anti-gravity machine to move all of these rocks. But anyways, let me go to this next video here. Yeah, again, this, I'm sure many people have heard about the Rendlesham Forest incident. I've seen it talked about in a lot of the cable UFO shows, but something that I wasn't aware of, but apparently a couple of these guys were abducted. This is Airman First Class John Burroughs reported a UFO sighting that took place in the early morning of December 26, 1980. It includes vague descriptions ranging from unusual supernatural light, glittering triangle spaceships, and scorched footprints on the ground. The Rendlesham Forest UFO incident led to a large number of direct observations, audio recordings, numerous reports, and continuous testimony. And that, in turn, has created a popular phenomenon that continues to bring UFO enthusiasts back to this woodland for new experiences. But taking into account so many angles and perspectives of the story, it has not yet been possible to understand what exactly happened. This series of events occurred between December 26, 1980 and December 28, 1980. A mysterious flying object flew at such an incredible speed that violated the laws of physics. Moreover, despite the very high speed, the alien spacecraft did not make any noise. The incident has two main victims, Staff Sergeant Jim Peniston and Airman John Burroughs, who claim to have witnessed the landing of a triangle-shaped UFO. In the forest, Peniston said that he had been so close to the craft that he managed to touch it. He described the touch as smooth, and there were ancient hieroglyphs signs on the craft that looked similar to ancient Egyptian letters. Interestingly, video footage was published in 2018 by British tabloid newspaper The Sun, where retired Lieutenant Colonel Charles Holt can be heard saying that John Burroughs may have been abducted and that the men were unaccounted for hours. Interesting. But anyways, from my understanding, one of these guys had some kind of a heart condition, so he was trying to go to the VA and get treatment, but they were denying him because he was trying to claim that must have been something that happened when he touched this UFO, I think. But anyways, interesting article. I'll leave a link in the description. This here is, like I said, I haven't had a chance to really look at this, but apparently it's a transcript of some woman who was involved in the cover-up. See, this is the transcript of the interview that I held with June Crane in her home at 896 Catalana Avenue, Southeast Ocean Shores, Washington, on June 27, 1997. At the time of this interview, June was 72 years old, and she had outlived 2 husbands and survived 2 bouts with cancer. The tape of the interview was, let me go down to where she gets into it. She approached me afterwards and told me that I was right, that our government does know much more than it ever says publicly about UFOs. I asked her how she knew this. She said, because I worked there. I asked her for details and she said, I can't tell you. They'll come and arrest me. I asked her to remember me if she ever changed her mind. 4 years later, I learned that she had made inquiries about me. She decided that I could be trusted not to arrest her once I knew her story, even though I was a detective sergeant for the Aberdeen Police Department at the time. She was most proud of her work for the U.S. government as a civilian employer at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base from 1942 to 1952. Her pride and loyalty were the causes of her dilemma. She was bound by her loyalty oath, and yet she had no tolerance for deception by anyone, more especially any official at any level of government, as some questionable local politicians had learned to their regret. June was angry. She was angry because of what she perceived as a great hypocrisy, that on the one hand, the existence of UFOs is officially denied, and yet in classified laboratories where she worked, she overheard scientists and engineers discussing artifacts and bodies from recovered crashed UFOs. She believed that the public deserved to be told the truth. But anyways, this just, goes into a lot more, and like the Majestic Document commentary. Source: The Majestic Documents, edited by Robert M. Wood and Ryan S. Wood. I'm sure people have heard of the Majestic 12. They were the people that were tasked with keeping this covered up. But anyways, a link to this will be in the description. This is an interesting article about ancient humans bred with completely unknown species. If we look back and we go back to the earliest when we quote unquote appeared in the fossil record, there were already Neanderthals, there were already Denisovans, and there were already Homo floresiensis, right, on the planet. So, and we are not related to any of those other hominid species. So if we're not related to those hominids, where did they come from? Again, I don't believe in evolution, but if the notion, is that we evolved from another species, then what species did those independent species evolve from? Because those other hominid species are mutually exclusive from Homo sapiens. But anyways, let me just give this a quick read. A new study presented to the Royal Society meeting on ancient DNA in London last week has revealed a dramatic finding. The genome of one of our ancient ancestors, the Denisovans, contains a segment of DNA that seems to have come from another species that is currently unknown to science. The discovery suggests that there was rampant interbreeding between ancient human species in Europe and Asia more than 30,000 years ago, but far more significant was the finding that they also mated with a mysterious species from Asia, one that is neither human nor Neanderthal. See, again, I don't understand how, there are these scientists who acknowledge that there are different and distinct hominid species 30,000 years ago, but then you have all these other people who want to claim that, we all evolved from a similar source. But anyways, interesting article, link will be in the description. Now this one here, again, I'm sure most people have heard about, the 180 days. Well, this has to do with this report that Congress is waiting for. Congress has given the U.S. intelligence agencies until June 25th to get a report together on unidentified aerial phenomenon. Happy New Year to UFO investigators, researchers, and activists. It looks like 2021 has hit warp speed when it comes to a significant development in the study of UAP reality. Fast review. Last June, the U.S. Senate Select Committee on Intelligence called for the Director of National Intelligence to put together a report on UAP activity within 180 days of the enactment of the Intelligence Authorization Act. The IAA was part of the omnibus passed by both houses of Congress and signed by the President to get the COFFA relief funding out there. Bottom line, the act has been enacted. The clock is now ticking. But anyways, let me get down to this part here. This here says, advanced aerial threat. The committee supports the efforts of the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force at the Office of Naval Intelligence to standardize collection and reporting on unidentified aerial phenomenon, any links they have to adversarial foreign governments, and the threat they pose to U.S. military assets and installations. However, the committee remains concerned that there is no unified, comprehensive process within the federal government for collecting and analyzing intelligence on unidentified aerial phenomenon, despite the potential threat. The committee understands that the relevant intelligence may be sensitive. Nevertheless, the committee finds that the information sharing and coordination across the intelligence community has been inconsistent and that this issue has lacked attention from senior leaders. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that, within the insiders, they do share it. It's just that they're not releasing that information to the public. It says, therefore, the committee directs the DNI in consultation with the Secretary of Defense and the heads of such other agencies as the Director and Secretary jointly consider relevant, to submit a report within 180 days of the date of enactment of the Act to the Congressional Intelligence and Army, including observed airborne objects that have not been identified. Anyways, this goes on. It's much longer, but very interesting. Anyways, this goes on. It's much longer. It's very interesting. Definitely give it a read. The link will be in the description. That is going to be it for this video. If you like things like this, please share this video. Oh, please like this video. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I'll have more things like this. Take care.